Yeah. All right, Brody, what's happening, man? I love that. That thing just automatically just runs.
It just bangs.
StreamYard is popping, bro. Love that.
Shout out to StreamYard.
Listen, man, we got a lot of stuff we got to get to today. So I guess first up, let's start with Venezuela, bro. This is the most activity this country has been getting ever. And so
ever.
What are your thoughts in terms of, what's happening down there?
I don't want to say that I distrust anybody. I don't want to distrust what I'm being told. But what I will say is I'm having eerie deja vu to the late 90s and early 2000s around our intervention in the Middle East, all around oil, and this feels a little bit too much like that for my liking.
Definitely feels all-esque. Like, it stinks to high heaven of Exxon and BP and all the things. It really, I'm so glad that you said that.
It just feels that way, and I'm not attributing this to any specific company or any, but it's hard for me not to have that feeling. It's just hard for me not to have that feeling. Is all I'm saying.
I understand. Yes. We're never going to get sponsorship from BP or Exxon.
I know, but at the same time, it's wild to me that we I have never been in the military. That is not a path my life took. Probably because the idea of killing someone is not something that I find what I mean? Like, that's just not, I would find a hard time to do that. And this idea of them indiscriminately exploding boats that they are reporting are narco-terrorist boats, without due process, without evidence, without having it, that just feels real off. And I'll say I called it when Obama was throwing his crazy drone strikes against supposed terrorists. I said the same thing. Like, I do not think we are a country that should be I don't want to say haphazard, because I don't think it's haphazard, but that should be hiding the ball when it comes to these types of strikes, and being really clear-throated about the evidence we have that these people are a harm to this country.
Yeah, so I'm so glad that you said that you talked about Obama and the drones, only because it makes this be unilaterally a bipartisan issue. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not just a Republican issue, it's a Republican and Democrat issue. And it's happened under multiple presidencies in which these people just go crazy with just killing people without proof or without whatever, right? Without due process, as you said.
Yeah.
And so, if we're thinking about narco-terrorism, you would think that they would be able to go to Congress and be able to prove to Congress that, hey, it's kilos or it's whatever drug of choice that's being brought into this country, and this is how they're doing it. You would think that they want to show that, as opposed to just these kill orders. Yeah. And what's crazy about the kill orders is that you drop a bomb, it doesn't get done. You got people that are in the water, have given up or whatever, have waved the red flag or whatever the proverbial flag is.
Yeah.
And you say, yeah, that's not enough. Kill everyone. That doesn't since when do we kill prisoners of war? Or if it's even considered that, since when do we do that?
Yeah, I mean, and I think the biggest problem is that it's a transparency issue. All this is a transparency issue for me, right? Because what we heard from the administration at first was, I was in a room. They didn't release a video, then they released the video, then they didn't tell us it was a second video, and then they released a second. It's this constant, I think, this slow roll of information that even if everything was above board, makes it look as hell, right? Because it's a slow.
That's what happens when you got mediocre people that are in these positions, bro. And I am so glad I listen, initially when he picked his cabinet, I was like, damn, you don't really see, very much people of color or whatever. And so now I'm ecstatic at the fact that you do see people of color in this mediocre ass.
You don't have to disavow nobody.
Yes, and making these bad decisions, man. Like, these are terrible decisions, bro. And meanwhile, he's fixated on the East Wing. He's fired his architect and has brought in another architect. This is a mess, bro. America's ghetto. So the next thing we're talking about is the next thing that we're talking about. Where's your
I do not condone
high grocery prices. So I don't know if it's hit you, bro, but every time I'm kind of scared to go into the grocery store these days.
Man, I got 2 teenage boys.
Yes, so it has hit you. Yes.
They're like locusts, man. They eat everything,
bro. So this guy ran on the fact that from day one, prices are going to be lower, and this is what it's going to mean for the American people. That was a damn lie. I think prices are higher now. The only thing that I can say maybe that's lower is gas prices, and you see the result as to why that may be what it is, right? So let's just bum people to bring gas prices down. So who are they going to kill in order to bring these food prices down?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is the problem. I mean, I think this is it's the combination of food prices being high and then the sort of the rollback of oversight over the chemicals allowed to be used to grow our food, the pathways to store our food, all of the quote unquote bad regulation, the combination of high food prices and the rollback of regulation. I know they would argue that the rollback of regulation is what's going to help reduce costs, right, at the grocery store. But my concern is, or does it mean that we're going to be putting some crazy stuff in our bodies now because there's nobody regulating how growers can, dust their crops or whatever they do to ensure the insects don't eat it, right? Like, that just scares the hell out of me. It's the combination of those two things.
Yeah. So not a good time for the American people. Doesn't look like it's going to be a good time for the American people. And it just looks like it's going to be more and more expensive. But you know how this is all going to get offset, bro? I got a working theory, right? It's going to be some sort of subsidy or some sort of check that's going to be distributed that Congress is going to approve. And he is going to sign his name on that check. And everybody, because, America has an attention span of a gnat, is going to forget, and they're going to say Trump gave me $200, and so because Trump gave me $200, it's going to offset the thousands of dollars that you now have to pay at the grocery store that he said you wouldn't have to pay from day one.
I mean, I don't even know that the checks need to come. I mean, people are still like, I don't know about you, but I never got my Doge check and never got my $2,000 inflation check. Like, I've been waiting for checks for a long time.
Oh, cut the check, man. Like, seriously, if we're gonna do this, let's go ahead and do this.
But my sense is that, like, I think the promise of relief has been enough, at least to date, to make people calm down. It's like, oh, don't worry about what's going on with Doge because you're going to get a Doge check back. And everybody got excited. I can't wait for my Doge check. And some people stopped complaining about Doge and we never got a check, right? In February, a month and a half ago, it was like, prices are too high. We're going to send everybody, because the tariffs are so great, we're going to send everybody a $2,000 per person tariff check, right? I still haven't got, maybe because I complained about tariffs, I don't get my check. I don't know, but I haven't gotten it yet.
Bro, tariffs are the most idiotic thing that known to man. And like the way that the stock market is being manipulated at this point, the way that this cryptocurrency market is being manipulated at this point, I just don't know. But that's another day, another topic. All right. So boycotts, right? So like currently, we know of the most well-known boycott that's happening right now. It's probably the Target Target
Mm-hmm.
boycott. For folks that don't know, and you should, but if you don't, Target had scaled back their DEI programming and in the Black community, along with the Latino community, has joined forces to say we're no longer shopping at Target. So the majority of people have not been shopping at Target. I don't know if Walmart is a better option given the options that we have, but I think that my preference would be for us to see our money change hands in our communities at least fivefold, right? Because that's some of the things that are happening in like Asian communities and like other communities that prioritize spending money in their communities. But I just don't foresee that ever happening, because not because there's not good quality products or that we couldn't do it. I just think that like we're so mind spent on trying to keep up the norms of white supremacy that we won't like do the things that we need to do in order to propel our subsets of folks to do the right thing.
But I also think sometimes it's just hard, right? Because the big box stores are the ones that the food's a little cheaper, the clothing's a little cheaper, right? You buy local, you buy in your community, and you're paying for like craftsmanship, you're paying for artisanship, you're paying for the proximity. They can't buy in bulk, so their prices look different. And so I also think it's just hard for some people to sort of stay away from to be able to implement those. And so I'd want our to be able to spend my dollars in the community and where I live to make sure that happens. The reality is that sometimes the price difference is sufficient enough where you have to make a tough choice, right? It's like, how am I going to spend my dollar? What do I really want to do? I think particularly when things are tough out there for folks, when prices are high, right? When people are struggling financially, right? The difference between feeding a child and keeping your principles, you don't feed that child every time.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Right.
No.
And these are the tough choices I think a lot of folks in our communities are going to have to make.
Yeah. And then especially if you're in these food deserts, right? If you're in these food deserts and you have limited amounts of choice. And so, your only option sometimes is these big box stores. And so, man, I just, just my heart goes out to folks that, that are experiencing, this type of struggle.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking about a boycott that I know 1,000% would work, right? And so
who you want to boycott? Who you want to boycott right now?
So a couple of days ago, it was announced by the Big Five power conferences. They were talking about their 5-star athletes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we know that the majority of these 5-star athletes happen to be people of color. And so what would happen if you had 5-star athletes, you had those bright academic students with 5.0 GPAs and 1450 SATs.
Scholar athletes.
Yeah, scholar athletes, right? Yes, I like that. Mm-hmm. If you have those folks that were saying, you know what, we're not going to go to these big name schools until they flip their DEI initiatives and diversity initiatives and roll them back into play. Until then, we're not going to do that. And so I posted that on Threads, got a lot of traction with folks that were like, yo, yeah, it would work. Yeah. But talk to me about why it wouldn't work.
Because I think at the end of the day, we're asking young people to make a decision about in their minds is sort of their future versus the struggle. And that's a tough decision for everybody need to make, right? Because going to one of these powerhouse institutions or a brand name institution could mean the difference in that check, right? When you graduate in your life forever, or get into the profession, particularly 5-star athletes, getting into the majors, getting into the NBA or the NFL, right? Like some of these places just produce, right? Scouts are always there. And so you're asking people to make a tough choice. I think students to make a tough choice.
Scouts are everywhere.
Right?
Scouts are everywhere. And if you're that caliber of athlete, or if you're that caliber of student, the scouts are gonna find you. The people that are in these, the people that are in these. So for me, think about an engineer, right? Yeah. Regardless of if you can go to RPI. Shout out to Rensselaer. You can go to RPI and become an architect. I think RPI is probably top 20, right?
Yep.
Then also you could go to North Carolina A&T and still be the same kind of engineer, if not even a better engineer, right?
Yeah.
So I think the conversation becomes more so not centered on the kid, but more so centered on the parents and like how are you raising these kids, right? Because if you're raising a conscious young person, right?
Yep.
Then when it comes time to make a decision about going to the right college or doing the right thing based off of things that are substantive and substantial, then you're going to end up picking the right college for you. And it could very well not be one of those big box brand name schools.
And some students will make that choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think you're asking, like, you need to know that information, right, to be able to make that choice as a family, right, with your student, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, let's use, like, if you're a blue chip basketball player and Duke has an offer on the table, and you know how many people from Duke have gone to the NBA, and then you got all these former NBA players who went to Duke being like, yo, you got to go to Duke. Like, suddenly it's a different thing. You know what I mean? That's some real pressure for a person who you're trying to make a decision. And, I constantly live in fear of that Dave Chappelle skit, right? When keeping it real goes wrong, where I lean so heavy into keeping it real that somehow I make a mistake that impacts my family. And I think it's tough to be able to ask families to make that kind of decision.
Think about it, right? We're talking about the impact of a decision impacting one family as opposed to it impacting a whole subset of people, right? So think about how that impact could land in terms of like your family with like 5-10 people, whereas this decision that you make could impact hundreds of thousands of people in terms of you doing the right thing and making that sacrifice. And like the last time that I've seen, prior to the 70s, well, in the 70s, athletes made those sacrifices. Like athletes used that platform in order to say, you know what, I'm not doing this, right?
But contracts in the 70s weren't what contracts are right now. I mean,
fair.
Now signing bonuses are life-changing money, right? Not just going to the NFL, but wearing the draft.
Is it life-changing money when you got an Odell Beckham that's like the 7-year or 5-year, $100 million contract does not
he doesn't know how he can keep up his lifestyle.
What? What was that?
But I mean, I think for some people that make that choice, and I think for some people, the phrase "I'm gonna get mine" comes to mind, right? And we're talking about like, now it used to be, look, I got to the NBA, or I got to the NFL, I got to Major League Baseball, but now it's like if I'm taking in the top 10. My signing bonus alone, right? The bonus,
right? The NIL bread. The NIL bread is old pro money, right? Like it's what used to be made in the pro. So like you can definitely be set up. So I get it. I get both ends of the coin. But what I would say is this: I would love to see HBCUs, which have been historically underfunded, be funded. Because if you have those schools that now have the infrastructure of the funding, they can now compete in terms of like what they're able to offer with NIL and like all the other things. It's like they don't have NIL money to give to these athletes because they have to use that money in order to secure the infrastructure.
And those two things go together, right? The more scholar athletes or blue chip athletes choose an HBCU or an MSI, the more money that they're going to make, and the like it feeds itself. But you got to get the engine started, right? People have to make that choice to get that engine started.
Yeah, I would love to see the engine start, bro. All right, so I guess a topic before we get to some more stuff. I love the some more stuff portion of our show.
The some more stuff, the potpourri part of.
So we'll start with this.
Curriculums. I teach 6th grade and 7th grade history. One is Texas history, one is world history, geography. So last Wednesday I got evaluated, right? And I was like, oh, I'm killing it. My kids were engaged. They were remembering all the information. They were hitting all the questions, warm-ups, all this stuff. And I didn't think nothing about my evaluation. Fast forward, Monday, took the progress check. They killed it. My kids absolutely did an amazing job. I was super proud of them. I've been proud all week about it, right? So I finally sit down for my evaluation, and I bombed it. I bombed my evaluation. I got like 9 out of 10 needs development in like every category you can imagine. So I really didn't sleep because I really was like, I'm a first-year teacher with about 7 months of teaching under my belt. Really, all of my mentors are gone from the school. They've all left. And I'm taking on 2 curriculums.
All right, bro. Come on. How is that fair to that young teacher?
It's not fair to that young teacher, right? I mean, this is the problem that we have, right? We have a set of expectations we have for our young teachers without the infrastructure and resources to help them achieve those expectations. Yep. It's hard out here to be a teacher, man. I think we always talk about how hard it is to be a teacher. I feel like it is 10 times harder now than it's ever been.
Yeah. So, bro, listen, the way that I build capacity for my teachers, right, especially first years, is that we do glows and grows, right? And so I'm never going into a class to find 9 things that are bad about a lesson, right? Because the human mind doesn't even let you. It doesn't even let you
focus on that many things,
right? And so you go in, you find one thing that's positive about what this young man is doing, right? And you focus on that because that's building him up, right? That's letting him know that, hey, not everything is bad. And then you take maximum 2 things, maximum 2, not 9, maximum 2 things that you would like to see improvement on. I think a lot of the things that's wrong in education is that you have these school leaders that can't go in and model good instruction for teachers, right? Because this would be an excellent opportunity for a school leader to go in and say, you know what, I'm going to reteach this lesson, and then we're going to convene on the things that you may have seen me do differently than what you've done. And we're going to have a powerful, enlightening conversation as to like how you can get better. But if you're having these types of conversations with teachers, like everything is bad, everything is this, everything is that, it's only a matter of time before that person leaves. Like he alluded to the fact that, hey, none of my colleagues are even here anymore, right? And so I don't have anybody to chop it up with. I don't have any teachers that I build relationships with that I can go and see and be better at the instruction that's being provided. And I think that this is what's happening with education, bro. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, I think that the wildest thing there, right, is the complete mismatch of how the teacher felt he did and the evaluation too, right? Yeah. Yes. So that's when it's harder, right? Because if he was struggling and it came to be like, yo, I know I'm struggling, but he was like, yo, I was feeling good. My students are feeling good. Like he was feeling himself. And then he got that, right? And so that's the hardest, right? Yeah. And that's even more so when you know that you're delivering news that is going to be new or different or be opposite, like, you gotta you gotta handle that carefully, right? Because you're gonna because then motivation goes away and then they don't care. And now you got someone in front of a classroom of teachers is like, I can't do anything right, so why should I try at all? And we don't want, like, nobody wants that teacher in front of their students, right?
And then the call-outs are going to start happening, and then the homecomings are going to start being more prevalent, and like all the things that were not the focus are going to start being the focus and be more important than the students, based off of the fact that you just gave this person like piss poor feedback. And then, you know, bro, I was that teacher. I was that first year teacher that my principal couldn't find anything right that I was doing. Right. And so I had to be intrinsically motivated to want to get better. That was my only way to stay in the profession, because, like, you know, the way it worked, or I don't know if it currently works this way still, but if you get like 2 years of bad evaluations, then your teaching career is over. Yeah. Right. And so I had to make sure that I was doing what I needed to do. And then also it brings me to the fact that the only real qualified observers, the qualified observer is not the principal or the designee that's coming into your class. The qualified observer is the student, right? And so if these students are rocking out, these students are feeling like they're learning, these students are like killing it or whatever, that's my qualified observer. So I've never let any feedback that came from a principal even bother me if I knew that my students were vibing with me and that my students were learning. So,
well, I mean, last week we talked about, like, you This is why you can't eat at nobody's house because you don't know what's going on in the background, right? This is why you can't let anybody be a manager of people, right? Point. Like you need to make sure, like, the success of your organization. The way I think about it, the tip of the spear for us, the place where we need to be excellent is our people managers, right? Because our organization can go as our people managers. So like the people doing the evaluation, delivering the feedback, coaching up, like those are the people who make or break organizations. And you can't. That's not a place where you can skimp, right? Like you have to know that you don't go with 10 things you got to fix. We're gonna work on 2 things.
That's right? Crazy work, bro.
Right. Right. I mean,
I would love to be the principal coach sitting in on that meeting. You know, I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Here are the 15 things you did wrong and the 1 thing you did right. Because he's like 9 out of 10, right? Yeah. I'm like, what are you talking about here? Like, this is they're not going to stay, right? Now, on the flip side, we don't know, unless this person needs to be managed out. Yeah. Maybe there was a purpose behind that.
Nah, no, bro. No, sir. The principal needs to be managed out. That's crazy, bro. Like, what? Like,
but I mean, my point is then if it were the case where this person needed to be managed out, there shouldn't be a difference of opinion. Like it shouldn't be that at that point of evaluation is the first time this person is being told they ain't making it happen, right?
Fair. Yeah. So we're gonna take us out with this, man. You know, we only got 30 minutes. We got to run a tight show, and so this is what I'm taking us out with. This is wild right here. So
he done crashed out for the last time. No more Roblox.
Look, even my phone stole my favorite brain rod.
I don't even know what brain rod is.
Bro. So we got to talk about how these kids are crashing out over Roblox and like social media and like getting their phones taken. Bro, if you take a kid's phone away from them at this point, you better sleep light.
Yeah. You better sleep light.
Real light, bro.
But for real. I can remember in the 80s throwing that little Nintendo joystick at my TV because I couldn't get Mario. The difference is them TVs that were built in the 80s, man, you had to drop that thing from the skyscraper to break it.
Yeah.
These TVs are too fragile now.
So, is the TVs too fragile or these kids is too fragile?
I don't know. I was pissed when I couldn't get. Listen, it took me a long time to get that jump in Super Mario Brothers just right. And so I know I threw that controller more than once.
Bro, there was a quote last night from one of my graduate students. She which brings me to the point that you talk about now. She said, "I will knock Mario coins out of you." I was like, what? It's I was baffled at the creativity of the quote, and I was like, "Hey, Ms. Bruford, I'll cite you on this." And this is me citing her on this because you got to cite Black women. But that was an amazing quote. I will knock more Mario coins out of you.
Yeah, that's good right there. I like that. I'm gonna have to borrow that.
Bro, listen. Hey, so final thoughts, man. Where you at this week?
Final thoughts, man. We're getting close to the end of the year, and if you're, I have found myself both wanting more weeks in the year to get work done, and the thought of working any more than I have to, and like wanting that break more than anything else. So shout out to everybody out there who's doing their best to drag themselves over the finish line at the end of this year. It is real in these streets. Remember to sort of take your breaks when you need them to stay mentally healthy. Step away from that work to keep yourself sane. You got this. There's only a couple weeks left before you can take a nice little break. I know the struggle is real, and I'm with you.
Bro, it just this year it didn't. You know how like you get into some of these years and it's like, damn, this year went by fast. Not this one. This went by. Oh, bro, this dude got time moving slow. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, bro. Smelling the flower.
And backwards in some places.
Yes. This is wild. Oh, so my final thought this week is going to be for my Knicks. Like, listen, I need for y'all to step up, right? I need for us to be equally as competitive against the teams that are below 500. You know, right now we are 11-1, maybe even 12-1 at the Garden. I need for y'all to play on the road like you play at home. This is our year, man. This is the Knicks' year. This is our year. 14-7 right now without OG in the starting in the lineup. I love how Josh Hart is looking as a starter. Coach, if you're looking and you see how Josh Hart looks as a starter, keep him in the lineup as a starter, bro. Yeah, but overall, man, I feel like we're looking good. I'm feeling good.
I heard you calling for Dante to come back last week. So
yeah, I would love to see Dante back. Yeah. Listen, you get OG. OG's always hurt anyway, bro. Get OG the hell up out of here. Bring Dante back, and that's a chip. That's a chip, man.
Listen,
we got to work on Brunson's defense, though.
I'm with you. But when I saw that Celtics game, I was just like, we just can't get over the hump with the Celtics, man. I don't know what it is. Like
even with
this star out, we can't get over the hump.
Yeah, not that Jaylen Brown is not a star. The other star.
Yeah.
I want to give him credit. Anytime you drop 40 on the Knicks, I got to give you credit.
Anytime you drop 40, period, you got to get credit.
No, that's facts. That's facts.
Yeah.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week.